Most people don't think twice about the fence around their home. It's just there. Wooden slats or metal bars, maybe with a row of bushes or some flowers to soften the view. But what if I told you that the space along your fence could quietly shape the energy of your entire home? That it could either guard your wealth like a silent protector, or slowly let it leak away without you noticing. This isn't about superstition. It's about how your environment interacts with your well-being. And yes, your finances. The fence isn't just a line between your yard and the world. It's the first filter, the front gate where energy, both good and bad, tries to enter. And the plants you grow there aren't just decorative. They either support that flow or interfere with it. In many homes, especially in suburban neighborhoods across America, people take pride in their landscaping. But while the backyard garden gets the attention, the narrow strip along the fence often becomes an afterthought, overgrown, patchy, or filled with whatever could survive. And here's the missed opportunity. When you choose the right plants and place them with intention, that forgotten space becomes a living shield. A subtle but powerful influence that holds your household together, supports clarity, and yes, even helps stabilize your money flow. Today, I'll show you 4 specific plants, common, beautiful, easy to grow, that act like quiet warriors for your home. They don't ask for much, but what they give back is far more than color or scent. They help regulate the energy around your space. They invite abundance, and they protect the peace inside your walls. If your home is where your heart lives, your fence is where that heart meets the world. Let's make sure that meeting is a good one. Part 1. The 4 silent warriors fence plants that shield your wealth. Plant 1. Rosemary, the one who clears your mind. There's a reason rosemary has found its way into so many American kitchens. It's a plant that smells like Sunday dinners and summer grilling, something handed down in recipes and rooted in memory. But while we reach for it to season our food, very few people realize its deeper power, what it quietly does beyond the stove. In the right place, planted with intention, rosemary becomes something else entirely. It becomes a silent ally in clearing the mind, sharpening decisions, and keeping financial chaos from slipping through the cracks of everyday life. If you've ever made a financial decision too fast, or worse, too late, you know the feeling. That weight in your chest, the pit in your stomach, the quiet voice that says, "I should have paused." Sometimes it's not about knowing more, it's about being clear enough to hear yourself think. And that's where rosemary lives, not in logic, but in clarity. This small, common plant holds the kind of energy that doesn't push, it steadies. It doesn't demand attention, it just quietly helps you stay on track, especially when things feel rushed or overwhelming. Rosemary has a grounding scent, not sweet or floral, but clean and bracing, like fresh air after a hard rain. That scent isn't just pleasant. It carries a vibrational frequency that helps neutralize mental fog. Studies have shown that simply smelling rosemary can improve focus, memory retention, and even decision-making speed. But when planted along your fence, its effect goes deeper. It creates what some call a clarity zone, a protective layer where the noise of the outside world is softened, where distractions lose their grip, and where the mind can find stillness. Picture this, a row of rosemary along the eastern edge of your home, just beyond the morning light. The sun hits the leaves first, warming the oils and releasing their scent into the air before you've even made your coffee. That scent follows you, not like perfume, but like presence. It reminds you to pause before you say yes to something that doesn't feel right. It reminds you to double-check that email, to reread that contract, to look at your spending from last month. It invites you to move more slowly, but with more certainty. And in a world where haste often leads to regret, that is no small gift. There's a kind of woman, maybe you've been her, who holds everything together. She manages the home, the bills, the schedules, the birthday cards, the grocery lists. She makes 100 decisions a week, and most of them are for everyone else. And somewhere in that blur, her clarity begins to fray, not because she's weak, because she's tired, because no one, not even herself, asked her to pause. Rosemary, planted along the fence or by the front walkway, is a way to say, "Here, This is your line. This is where you get to breathe. Unlike high-maintenance plants that beg for attention, rosemary thrives on simplicity. It likes sun, well-drained soil, and space to grow, not much more. It doesn't need you to hover. It just needs to be planted where it can stretch toward the light. East and northeast directions are ideal. These are places associated with wisdom, beginnings, and mental clarity. In Feng Shui, these directions govern personal growth and intellectual insight. But even outside of that tradition, the concept is intuitive. Start your day where the light rises. Let your thinking bloom where your house meets the morning. You don't need a full hedge. A few rosemary bushes spaced thoughtfully along the fence can do the work, or even a pot by your front door where you pass it every day. Let it become part of your routine, not just to water, but to notice. Some women cut a sprig and hang it by their desk. Others dry a few branches and keep them in a cloth pouch tucked into their wallet, drawer, or car. It's not superstition, it's anchoring, a way to carry focus with you when the world pulls in too many directions. But rosemary isn't only about the mind. It's about the boundary between reaction and response. That split second where you decide whether to speak from emotion or from knowing. In financial matters, that line can make all the difference. A purchase made in frustration, a loan agreed to out of guilt, an opportunity missed because of fear. These don't just affect the bank account. They linger in how we feel about ourselves. Clarity, then, isn't a luxury. It's a necessity for a life that feels whole. And here's the beautiful part. Rosemary gives more than it takes. Once rooted, it offers its scent, its energy, and its gentle strength all year round. It doesn't wither at the first sign of drought. It's resilient. And for women who have carried so much for so long, that kind of companionship matters. It reminds us that strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes it grows quietly along a fence, offering support just by being there. If you've ever stood in your kitchen, holding a bill or a question or a decision that feels too heavy, you know what it means to crave clarity. You know that sometimes all it takes is a moment of stillness to make the right choice. Rosemary is that stillness rooted in soil. This isn't about believing in magic. It's about believing in patterns, the way energy moves through a space, the way scent affects the nervous system, the way certain plants naturally uplift us when placed with care. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to create a home that helps you remember who you are when things feel uncertain. So as you think about what's growing along your fence, ask yourself, is it just there for looks, or is it helping you live better? Is it just green, or is it guiding? Because in a world full of noise, rosemary doesn't demand to be heard. It just clears the way so you can hear yourself. And maybe, just maybe, that's where abundance begins. Not in what you earn, but in how clearly you choose. Plant 2, mango tree, the one who holds what's yours. There's a quiet kind of loss we don't talk about enough. It doesn't show up in big bank withdrawals or dramatic financial mistakes. It happens slowly through small leaks. A generous favor here, a rushed decision there, an unspoken obligation you didn't know how to say no to. And over time, your savings, your energy, your sense of stability, they start to feel thin. You look around and wonder where it all went. The truth is, money doesn't always leave in big waves. Sometimes it drips away in silence. That's where the mango tree comes in, not just as a fruit tree, but as a living anchor, a protector, a tree that knows how to hold what's yours. The mango tree is not native to North America, but in many cultures, especially in tropical regions, it's more than familiar. It's respected. These trees don't grow fast, but once they do, they stand tall and grounded. Their thick leaves stretch wide. Their roots run deep. They don't ask for attention, but they create a presence that's impossible to ignore. And that's the energy we're talking about here, not loud abundance, but steady protection. Not wild growth, but lasting foundation. When planted along the fence, especially on the southern side of the yard, the mango tree becomes more than a source of shade. It becomes a kind of energy shield, absorbing outside tension, blocking hostile vibes, and stabilizing the flow of resources inside the home. In traditions where plants are seen as energetic companions, The mango tree is known to deflect envy, dissolve gossip, and create a cool zone in high-pressure environments. For women who have spent their lives giving money, care, time, it becomes a gentle reminder you're allowed to keep what you've earned. In practical energy work, the mango tree is also tied to money that sticks, not just comes in but stays. In Feng Shui-inspired practice, it's said that when a mango tree bears healthy fruit that clings to the branches, it's a sign that wealth is anchored and protected. But if fruit drops prematurely, rots on the ground, or the tree appears neglected, it's often mirrored in real life: unexpected bills, strained cash flow, or tension over shared resources. It's not a curse, it's a message, one that says this part of your life needs tending. And the tending doesn't require perfection. It requires presence. A mango tree wants care, not control, regular watering, a tidy base, pruning if the branches grow too wild. It wants light, but not overexposure. What it teaches gently is what many women forget in a lifetime of caring for others. That stability comes from what you nurture consistently, not what you rush to fix. In that way, the mango tree becomes a daily mirror for your financial boundaries. It shows you whether you're making space for wealth or letting it rot on the ground because you're too busy to notice. The energy of this tree is also deeply personal. In many homes, especially those led by women, money is not just a number. It's tied to security, dignity, and the ability to say no. The mango tree, with its broad canopy and sturdy roots, carries a kind of masculine steadiness that supports the feminine spirit. It brings strength without aggression, protection without domination. It offers a space where your financial self, the part of you that handles bills, choices, sacrifices, can finally exhale. And then there's the emotional layer. The mango tree, when well placed, helps ease friction in relationships where finances are tangled. Maybe it's with a partner who spends differently than you, a child who depends on you longer than expected, a sibling who always seems to need one more loan. The tree doesn't solve those patterns, but its grounded presence reminds you that it's okay to draw the line, that it's not selfish to protect your peace. That generosity only works when it's balanced with boundaries. In the southern direction, linked with visibility, legacy, and personal power, the mango tree helps you be seen. Not for what you give away, but for what you hold, what you sustain, what you've built quietly over time. When the sun hits those leaves in the afternoon, there's a brightness to them, like a gentle spotlight on the effort no one noticed. And when that light softens toward evening, the shade it casts invites rest. A soft signal that you don't have to push so hard. You just have to hold steady. There's also a tradition, one that's not scientific but meaningful. Some women tie a brass wind chime to the southeastern branch of their mango tree. The soft ringing stirs the air, especially in warm weather. It's said to activate abundance and clear emotional stagnation. But more than that, it becomes a ritual, a sound that reminds you to return to yourself, to stay rooted, to honor what matters. If you don't have room for a full tree, start small. A dwarf mango tree in a large pot near the front or side of your home can still hold this energy. It's not about size, it's about intention. It's about placing something in your environment that says, I am allowed to be supported. I am allowed to grow wealth that lasts. And if you're someone who's had to rebuild after a divorce, a lost job, a quiet chapter of sacrifice, the mango tree becomes a quiet companion. It doesn't rush your healing, but it offers the slow confidence that new fruit will come. That what fell before wasn't failure, it was fertilizer. So much of modern life is about speed. More money, more productivity, more proof that you're keeping up. The mango tree, in contrast, offers a different wisdom, that what you hold quietly often protects you more than what you chase. That money kept with care has more power than money spent in panic. That rest is part of the strategy. And maybe that's the message you need right now. Not a tip, not a trend, but a tree. Something that stays. Something that doesn't ask for hustle. Something that reminds you that your role isn't just to give. It's to keep what's already yours. Plant 3. Dumb cane, the quiet anchor of long-term fortune. There are plants that bloom boldly and demand your attention, and then there are the quiet ones. The The ones that sit in the corner of the porch or under the shaded side of the fence. The ones that don't call out but stay, steady, present. And that presence is what makes the dumb cane, also known as Dieffenbachia, so powerful, not because it grows fast, not because it's flashy, but because it knows how to hold energy, how to ground a home, and how to keep fortune from drifting away with the wind. If you've ever longed for things to stop fluctuating, for the bills to balance, the emotions to settle, the energy in your house to just feel calm again, then you already understand what this plant offers. It doesn't promise instant change. What it brings is stability, a rootedness, the kind of energy that says, you're safe here, you're not starting over again. Dumb cane is often overlooked in garden centers across America. It's not exotic or hard to find. It doesn't burst with color or fragrance, but it has a presence, one that reveals itself slowly. Its broad, thick leaves are rich green, sometimes marbled with pale white veins, like a quiet map of patience and wisdom. The plant doesn't need a lot of light, and it thrives in shade, just like the part of us that grows in silence when no one is watching. In Feng Shui-inspired thinking, dumb cane is seen as a symbol of 10,000-year vitality. It represents longevity, prosperity that endures, and energy that doesn't burn out. In American life, that might mean being able to afford retirement without anxiety. It might mean building a home that still feels peaceful after the kids have grown and gone. Or creating a space where you wake up and nothing feels like it's falling apart. Not the house, not your finances, not your inner state. That's what dumb cane supports. Not sudden wealth, but a soft, long-term abundance, the kind you can trust. Where you place this plant matters. The northeast side of your home or fence is ideal. This direction governs wisdom, learning, and multi-generational harmony. For women raising children or caring for aging parents, or often both, it offers an energetic anchor. And for those living alone in this season of life, dumb cane gives a kind of quiet companionship. A reminder that even in solitude, something is growing, quietly, dependably, and in your favor. Unlike other plants that flower dramatically and fade, dumb cane blooms rarely. And when it does, it's a quiet, almost private event. In some traditions, a dumb cane in bloom signals a turning point, a birth, a business windfall, the arrival of long-awaited peace. If your dumb cane flowers, consider it more than a coincidence. It's a whisper from the earth that your patience has been seen, that something beautiful is unfolding, even if it's not loud about it. But what makes this plant especially meaningful is how it mirrors the emotional journey of women who have held their families together for decades. Women who have learned to keep going even when things felt shaky. Who have learned to find their strength not in applause or recognition, but in their ability to stay grounded when everything else felt like it was shifting. The dumb cane is that strength in plant form. A quiet backbone, a presence that doesn't fade. Caring for it is simple. It prefers partial shade or gentle, filtered light, perfect for the shaded sides of a home or areas that don't get direct sun. Keep the soil lightly moist, not soaked. Wipe the leaves gently with a damp cloth when they collect dust. That's it. No drama, no complexity. And in return, you get a plant that not only survives, but thrives over time. A reminder that not everything valuable has to be high maintenance. In terms of energy, a thriving dumb cane tells a story. When its leaves grow evenly, rich in color, and free from burns or splits, it reflects balance in the home. It means the energy is flowing smoothly. There's no silent conflict beneath the surface, no financial tension brewing, no emotional weight dragging the space down. A healthy plant means a healthy home. And if it starts to show signs of distress, it may be echoing something that needs tending, not just in the soil, but in your routines, your relationships, or your rest. There's a story that floats around, maybe not fact, but certainly truth. A woman in Texas planted a small dumb cane by her front porch near a northeast-facing window. Every morning she watered it gently and whispered into its leaves, little wishes, quiet hopes. She didn't tell anyone. It was her private moment before the world got noisy. A year later, the plant bloomed. That same year, her husband's business doubled in income, and she gave birth to a child they had waited years for. Was it magic? Maybe. Or maybe it was just that she'd created space for something to grow quietly in her favor. If your home feels like it's always in transition, if money comes in and goes just as fast, if the mood in the house changes with the weather, if your sense of peace is fragile, then dumb cane might be the plant your fence has been missing. Not because it fixes everything, but because it holds energy steady while you do the deeper work. It doesn't promise fireworks, it promises foundation. In a culture that pushes constant productivity, there's something powerful about choosing a plant that reminds you to pause, to root, to believe that slow and steady doesn't mean stagnant, it means sustainable. Long-term fortune isn't about winning big, it's about building something you can lean on when life gets heavy. Dumb cane teaches this not in words, but in the way it grows, strong, slow, and certain. And maybe that's what you need right now. Not another goal, not another hustle, but a quiet place at the edge of your yard where life keeps unfolding, no matter the season. Let it be your anchor. Let it hold what you've worked so hard to build. Plant 4, Hibiscus, the flower that softens hearts. Some houses feel bright, no matter the weather. Others stay quiet, even when the sun is out. It's not always about how clean or decorated a space is. Sometimes it's something deeper, a kind of tension in the air, a silence that lingers too long after dinner. A heaviness you can't name, but feel as soon as you walk through the door. If that sounds familiar, the answer might not be another conversation or another project. It might be something simpler, something alive, something blooming just outside your fence. Hibiscus is more than a flower. It's a quiet balm for tired homes, tense hearts, and family spaces that have forgotten how to laugh. In places where hibiscus grows freely, front yards in the South, gardens in California, even tucked along fences in modest homes, it has a way of catching the eye. The blooms are generous, full-bodied, vibrant reds, soft pinks, deep oranges. You don't glance at a hibiscus. You stop, you soften. There's something in the way the petals open wide, unapologetically joyful, that makes the air feel lighter. And that's exactly what it brings to your home: emotional openness, softened energy, and a return to connection. Unlike plants that represent strategy or protection, hibiscus is emotional. It governs warmth, affection, and the invisible threads between people. In spaces where arguments echo too loud, where old hurts haven't quite healed, or where people pass each other without looking up, it helps loosen the knots. Not by force, but by lightness. It invites beauty back into the routine. And for many women, especially those who have carried the emotional labor of holding a household together, hibiscus becomes a reminder that love doesn't always have to be effortful. Sometimes it can just bloom. Planted along the southeastern side of the home, near the fence by the front gate, or even in large pots by the porch, hibiscus draws in morning sun and activates the space where energy first enters. Feng Shui teachings link this area to wealth, connection, and feminine energy. But even outside those traditions, it's clear, when light hits the petals, something shifts. The yard feels less stiff, the home feels more open, and the people inside begin to mirror that. Hibiscus thrives in warmth, but it's not a fragile flower. With proper care, sunlight, occasional pruning, and well-drained soil, it offers blooms for months. And those blooms aren't just for looking at. Many women harvest them, dry the petals, and make tea. A deep crimson brew that lowers blood pressure, soothes the nervous system, and eases the edge off long days. Imagine this. An early afternoon, sunlight through the kitchen window, steam rising from a hibiscus cup, and for the first time in weeks your shoulders drop. That moment matters. That softness is what the flower gives. There's a reason some families believe that a home with hibiscus rarely hears shouting. It's not that problems disappear, it's that the energy shifts. A house that once felt sharp becomes warmer. A front porch that used to feel cold now calls you to sit. The space between people starts to melt, and suddenly you find yourself laughing at something small because there's room to laugh again. That's the real magic, not in the petals, but in the way they remind you what it feels like to feel light. But hibiscus also carries depth. In many cultures, it's associated with motherhood and maternal love, not just soft, but sacred. Planting hibiscus becomes more than landscape design. It becomes a gesture of care. A message to the women in the home, past and present, that their energy is honored, that their warmth is welcome. And when the first bloom opens wide and full, placing it on an altar or in a quiet corner becomes an offering. Not religious necessarily, but reverent. A thank you. A moment of beauty given back to where beauty came from. If your home has felt emotionally cluttered, if the past lingers, if tension never fully leaves, if you crave affection but don't know how to ask for it, hibiscus helps create the conditions for healing. Not with pressure, with presence. It says, look, this is what joy looks like when it has room to grow. This is what softness can feel like when it's allowed. And that message, when planted outside your fence, makes its way inside. Even in colder climates, hibiscus can be grown in containers and moved indoors during frost. It adapts, it survives. And in that, it reflects the kind of love many women have known, resilient, flexible, and still beautiful after everything. And for women who have gone through heartbreak, loss, or the slow drift of emotional distance, hibiscus is like a hand on the back saying, you can still bloom. There's a visual rhythm that hibiscus brings to a yard, the way it sways, the way it opens in the morning and gently folds back at night. That rhythm begins to sync with yours. Days that used to blur together start to have shape. Mornings feel like a beginning again, and evenings feel less like a shutdown and more like a gentle close. That's emotional Feng Shui, creating flow where things once felt stuck. In a world that rewards toughness, hibiscus rewards tenderness. It teaches that beauty has value, that joy is productive, that creating a home where people feel safe to smile is not frivolous, it's foundational. And for women who have given their strength to everyone else, it gives permission to choose softness again. Not weakness, softness. The kind that listens, the kind that holds, the kind that says, come sit with me a while. So if your house has grown quiet, not peaceful quiet, but the kind where no one really talks, plant hibiscus. If your mornings feel rushed but joyless, plant hibiscus. If you want to feel warmth before logic, color before noise, affection before duty, plant hibiscus. Not because it solves everything, but because it reminds you that softness is strength too. And maybe the next time you step outside and see that first bloom fully open, catching the light, you'll stop, you'll breathe, you'll feel something shift, not loud, but real. And that may be all your heart was waiting for. Part 2, the right day to plant when the earth says yes. Timing doesn't just matter, it shapes everything. In gardening, in healing, in life. You've probably felt it before, that moment when you tried something that should have worked but didn't. The conditions were right, you followed the steps, and still nothing moved. Sometimes it's not what we're doing that's off, it's when. There's a rhythm in nature that doesn't follow the clock, it follows energy. And when you plant something, especially something meant to change your life, you're not just placing it in soil, you're placing it in time. That's why the right day to plant is more than convenience. It's alignment. It's listening for when the earth quietly says yes. Every act of planting is a partnership between your intention and the earth's openness. And when both align, something shifts, underground first, then above. Roots take faster. Growth lasts longer. The energy around your home softens, steadies or strengthens in ways you can feel but might not have words for. This isn't folklore, it's pattern. It's noticing how early morning light feels different from afternoon sun. How Sunday carries a different energy than Tuesday. It's learning that planting isn't just a task. It's a choice to begin something when the ground is truly ready to receive it. So which day is right for what you're planting? That depends on what you want to invite, because every day of the week carries a different emotional tone, a different kind of doorway, and knowing which one to walk through can change the entire outcome. Tuesday is a day of clarity and forward movement. It's filled with clean, rising energy that supports focus, mental sharpness, and disciplined beginnings. If you're planting rosemary or dumb cane, plants that help with decision-making, grounding, and inner steadiness, this is your day. Especially if you're someone who often feels scattered, pulled in too many directions, or stuck in cycles of indecision. Planting on Tuesday between 7 and 9 a.m. when the air is still soft and your mind is fresh anchors your intention in stillness. It sets the tone for strength without force, growth without rush. Friday, on the other hand, belongs to wealth, not just financial gain, but material ease, self-worth, and stability. It's a day that holds fullness, confidence, and a touch of grace. If you're planting a mango tree, which supports long-term financial balance and boundaries, Friday is ideal. Between 9 and 11 a.m. is the sweet spot. The sun is fully awake, the energy has momentum, and what you begin during this window tends to stick. Friday planting is for women who are ready to stop leaking energy, who want to hold what they've earned without guilt or second-guessing. It's a planting that says, "I trust myself to receive." Saturday is the day for healing. It carries a quiet warmth, the kind that's needed when relationships feel frayed or the heart feels heavy. It's a perfect day to plant hibiscus, the flower that softens hearts and restores emotional warmth to the home. Saturday planting is less about function and more about feeling. It's for the woman who's ready to bring joy back even if things have been hard, for the one who's tired of silence between family members, for the one who wants to smile more without forcing it. Plant between 3 and 5 p.m. when the light has mellowed and the house is settling. That's when hibiscus feels most welcome. Sunday is for new chapters, for fresh starts, for when you don't have the words for what you're moving through, but you know something is ready to change. Planting on Sunday morning between 6 and 8 a.m. is like opening a hidden gate. The energy is light, awakening, and deeply personal. This is the day for planting if you feel stuck, uninspired, or disconnected from your own space. It's the day that says, you don't have to know the next step, you just have to be open to it. Sunday is for any plant, any hope, any woman who's quietly ready to begin again. You don't have to be mystical to feel these rhythms. You just have to slow down enough to notice, to feel what the day asks of you, to trust that your energy matters as much as your tools. And even if you can't always plant on the exact right day or hour, don't worry. Your presence, your intention, your stillness, that's the real calendar. That's the energy the earth hears first. So what does this look like in practice? It looks like waking up early with a sense of quiet purpose, preparing your soil not with haste but with care, whispering something small into the ground as you plant, not a wish but a promise to yourself, that you'll tend to what you've started, that you'll let the process be slow and sacred and enough. It might look like planting rosemary on a Tuesday morning, breathing deeply as you press the roots into the dirt, or placing a mango sapling on a sunlit Friday, then tying a small brass chime to its branch as a gentle invitation to prosperity. It might be potting a hibiscus on a soft Saturday afternoon, while music drifts from the kitchen and the scent of tea lingers in the air. Or it could be stepping outside alone on a Sunday morning, barefoot on the grass, placing one small plant into the ground as the sun breaks open the sky. These aren't just rituals. They are recalibrations, ways to remind yourself that your life doesn't have to be rushed, that small things matter, that timing isn't always about efficiency, it's about resonance. Planting on the right day won't force results, but it opens a space, a deeper connection between you and your home, a rhythm between your hands and the land beneath them. And from there, things tend to grow, not just in the garden, but inside you. Because when you slow down enough to plant with care, you remember something most of us forget, that you're allowed to live in harmony with your space. That beauty, fortune, peace, they are not outside forces to chase. They're energies to welcome. And sometimes the first step is simply waiting for the earth to say yes. Part 3. Common mistakes that turn your fence into an energy trap. Sometimes it's not what you plant that brings change. It's what you forget to remove, what you overlook, what you allow to linger just a little too long. And while fences are meant to protect, they can quietly turn against you, not by design, but by neglect. If you've ever done all the right things in your home, but still felt like something wasn't clicking, like abundance felt blocked, or peace kept slipping out the back door, it may not be the inside of your home that needs attention. It might be the boundary itself, because even the most beautiful plants can't do their job if the space around them isn't respected. The truth is, fences carry energy. They either filter what comes in or collect what should have been cleared out. Let's start with what most people miss: dead plants. A forgotten pot by the gate. A brown shrub that used to bloom. Leaves that wither but never get cleared. It seems harmless, life gets busy, and not every plant survives. But in energy terms, dead plants are not neutral. They are stagnant, heavy. They mark the point where life used to move but stopped. And that pause, that energetic stillness begins to echo. Like a blocked drain in the corner of your yard, it doesn't look urgent, but it changes the flow. What once invited growth now holds decay. It doesn't scream at you. It just slowly affects how your space feels and how you feel in it. If you walk past something lifeless every day and think, "I'll fix that soon," then soon becomes never. And the message your space receives is, stuck energy is okay here. Clearing dead or dying plants isn't about being perfect. It's about being aware. When a plant dies, it has already given all it could. Leaving it there too long is like clinging to a decision that no longer serves you, or holding onto clutter because it once meant something. The energy needs to be released. A simple act, pulling up a dry root, gently replacing a dead bush, can feel like nothing on the outside. But it's a powerful declaration to your home. This is a space for life, not for lingering loss. The second mistake is overgrowth. It's easy to let your fence line fill with greenery. More feels better, lush, vibrant, private. But when the plants become too dense, they stop breathing. And so does your space. Light stops getting through. Air stops circulating. What was once a filter becomes a wall. The energy around your fence turns heavy, thick. It might look alive, but it starts to feel closed off. And often, so do you. You might notice your home feeling darker, heavier, even if everything else seems fine. Feng Shui teaches that life force moves like wind and light. It needs space, not just to enter, but to dance. When your plants grow wild, they no longer support movement, they trap it. This doesn't mean your garden has to be rigid. It means your plants should have form, direction, breathing room. Think of it like your calendar, too packed and you can't think, too dense and nothing new fits in. Your fence works the same way. So what does balance look like? It's when the space along your fence invites light. When you can see through or around the plants just enough to feel the openness. When the breeze moves without obstruction. It's a subtle shift, but the moment you trim a crowded section, you'll feel it. The space exhales, and so do you. The third mistake, perhaps the most overlooked, is planting the right plant in the wrong place. It's easy to get excited about what a plant represents: abundance, clarity, healing. But in energy work, placement is as important as choice. Each area around your home, north, south, east, west, governs a different part of life, and placing strong energy in the wrong direction can create friction instead of flow. For example, the southwest sector is linked to the feminine energy of the household. It represents the woman of the home, the heart, the emotional center. Planting a large tree with an overwhelming canopy in this area can suppress that energy. Women in the house may feel more fatigued, emotionally withdrawn, or reactive, not because of the tree itself, but because of what it's energetically pressing down. The northeast side, tied to wisdom and learning, especially for children, can also suffer if thorny or aggressive plants are placed there. Sharp-leafed vines, overly spiky bushes, or heavy cluttered growth in this zone may lead to tension, difficulty concentrating, or quiet emotional pressure. If you've noticed more conflict, restlessness, or distraction in certain areas of your home, look at what's planted just outside them. The fence might be speaking. The good news is none of this is irreversible. Energy, like nature, wants to return to balance. And the act of correcting a misplacement isn't punishment, it's realignment. You're not being scolded by the universe. You're being nudged back into harmony. And that's one of the most beautiful things about working with plants. They forgive, they adapt, they begin again. So what can you do today? First, walk the perimeter of your fence quietly without judgment. Notice how it feels, where it feels blocked, where it feels forgotten, which sections make you breathe easier, which ones make you frown. Then begin one small step at a time. Pull what's already dead, trim what's too crowded, observe what's growing too aggressively in the wrong direction, and ask, what does this space need to feel lighter? Maybe it needs less. Maybe it needs room. Maybe it needs you not in rush, not in perfection, but in presence, in honoring what this space can become when treated with intention, because your fence isn't just wood or wire or stone. It's your first conversation with the outside world. It holds your space. It shapes how energy enters. And if it's heavy, the house becomes heavy. If it's clogged, the home becomes stuck. But if it's clear, alive, balanced, breathing, it becomes your ally, a partner in protection, a quiet guardian of your peace. You've already done so much to care for your home. Let your fence reflect that care too, not just for the world to see, but for the energy that lives inside with you every single day. Sometimes the most lasting change begins not with a renovation, but with a root. Not with a grand gesture, but with the gentle decision to place something in the ground and believe it will grow. Today, you've walked with me through 4 living guardians of energy, plants that don't just decorate your fence, but protect the very rhythm of your home. Rosemary to clear the mental fog, mango to hold your worth, dumb cane to anchor your peace, hibiscus to soften the heart of your space. Each one chosen not for superstition, but for what it represents, what it holds, and what it returns. We've talked about timing, not the kind that rushes, but the kind that listens. About how planting with intention on the day that matches your energy can turn a simple act into a turning point. We've uncovered the mistakes that quietly drain our homes of light, forgotten plants, misplaced growth, cluttered fences, and how just one thoughtful change can open a door you didn't know had been closed. But most of all, I hope you felt this, that your home responds to how you treat it, that the soil around your fence is listening. That beauty, wealth, peace, they don't only come from effort, but from awareness, from standing still long enough to ask, what am I planting, not just in the ground, but in the energy around me? Your fence is no longer just a boundary. It's a sacred space, a canvas, a quiet guardian, and now every plant you place there carries not only life, but meaning. If you've watched this far, thank you. Thank you for your time, your care, and your presence. It tells me that you're not just trying to fix something outside, but nourish something within, and for that, I honor you. May your home feel lighter. May your roots grow stronger, and may energy, the right energy, finally decide to stay. Until next time, the earth is listening.